xQc's Goats versus Karasuno. Somebody did upload it to YouTube. Nice. Okay.
Boys, let's get it. Let's get it, baby.
This is the type of team that would probably end up running like 3-3 or not 3-3, a 2-2-2.
So this is this is Karasuno versus Goats, and this is Karasuno, and so Guru and DPS are their roster used to have Ace of Spades here, and I think that ironically, I think that DPS is their main tank player, because Hiden is their Zenyatta. Far and Boostio are their DPS, and then Jur, I think, is the main support. Hiden's Flex, Jur is main support, unless I'm getting their roster completely wrong. But, so yeah, this is Karasuno, and Karasuno is a really good team. Like, Boostio and Far are absolutely crazy DPS players. Hiden plays basically Unko's style of Zen, where he's, like, super fraggy, not like frontlining, but he likes flanks and high grounds as Zenyatta. Guru is a fantastic diva player, and I don't know much about DPS, but Hiden, like, Karasuno's got a fucking amazing roster. Like, this is a really good team. And then for Goats, they have Sit, who's known as Frill, I think. Tensa, the guy who plays on a controller. I'm hiding his name. So Tensa is a guy who plays half on controller and whatnot, and he's got really good shot calls. Wavy, who is also NK, he's Canadian. Actually, NK, so Wavy right here and Majesty have both been invited to Team Canada tryouts. So both of them. Then Kaluj is one of the guys who was banned, got unbanned, and then xQc is, of course, playing for Gator. So Tensa is the guy that DCs, yeah. So, like, two really good teams here. These teams are both expected to qualify for contenders through trials. So this was a pretty hype match between the two of them. Yeah, so he plays half and half. So he plays one-hand controller, one-hand mouse. And then on Mercy, I think he plays controller. And then on other... Like, he changes his control scheme based on what character he's playing. But he's really good. His controller is... This guy's been a high-level competitive play for a while now. So if you think, like, LoL controller, you should watch him play.
I can see them running, like, fucking, like, Fairway over here or something like that.
So one of the more challenging things is that Goats is going to be running their 3-3 composition here, right?
See them running like fucking like Fairway over here or something like that. It's going to be sleeper to play against.
So they're running their 3-3 composition, which is the Lucio, the Moira, and the Brigitte, as well as Zarya, Diva, and Reinhardt. So this composition really struggles against long-range heroes because it likes to use its speed to engage onto targets and basically crush any ground-based targets before the long-range DPS heroes can actually get any value here. So it's a lot better on attack than it is on defense because the opponents can kind of just poke you down and, you know, put a fuck ton of spam damage into you because you have to hold a specific location as long as they put somebody down to contest. So the idea usually is either to surprise early or bait them in and then hard engage on them. So it looks like they're holding back at Hotel here, so they're not going for like a surprise play right off the front door. But we'll have to see how it rolls. Goats has a pretty good coach. Well, Gator is the coach, but Danny is the is one of the analysts. So yeah, Goats has a good... They've got people helping them.
If they do run that, we shouldn't play like
Danny especially will help them.
sidelines for no reason. You should always have a goal when you're going on sidelines all the time.
Oh, if they draft like their anti-count versus us, right? We swap to our other triple tank lineup, and then we have Wavy on Genji.
Yeah.
So that guy speaking, I'm pretty sure is Tensa.
We'll run that comp. Just be ready for it. Look for the engagements. You call it xQc if you see it.
Yep. I'll call engages. I'll call fucking targets.
So in this situation, there's a couple things that you have to kind of decide upon based on who is going to be your target caller. And if you play on a team, what I'm going to say is probably going to be pretty important to you. And selecting a target caller can be the Discord caller, for example. Like your Zenyatta is, I suppose, at least in previous metas, one of the guys who used to be the target caller. But the reason why they're having the xQc in this case be the target caller, and we're seeing this more in compositions where you're running a Brigitte with dive, for example, is that the Brigitte becomes the target caller. So you use xQc as the target caller because he's the least mobile individual. in that you want to be attacking whatever the main tank is attacking, because he doesn't have the luxury to switch targets in the same way that the other characters on his team does. D.Va can boost over to a target. Zarya has long range, either with her left click or her right click. Even Brigitte has a shield bash. But in these really brawly compositions, you pick your least mobile character to be the target caller, so that whatever is capable for them to attack, you know that everyone else can also attack, and it will keep your team grouped up. So this is kind of like the logic behind using your Reinhardt as the target caller during really brawly fights.
Defend the objective. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Don't remember, we run out of them.
Run Pharaoh.
Early fire strike for ult charge. They do have a Widowmaker. This was kind of expected. Because Goats is basically famous for running this 3-3 composition, it is absolutely zero surprise that Karasuno is rolling out with 2 long-range heroes. Now, what tank lineup they're going to be using, it could be Dive, it could be Rein Brig, they could be solo tank here, they could be dual tank with Zarya if they want to combo grab Barrage. But having them run out with Widowmaker and Pharah is of no surprise at all.
Widow Pharah. Like I said, go Junker, triple DPS. Okay, get out. Put out of the lines.
So they are playing Dive. Now, Dive is a really, like, people really sleep on Dive being one of the counters to 3-3 composition. Specifically because this composition likes to engage onto people with speed. So anytime there's even the smallest bit of high ground, Winston and D.Va can both escape to that high ground based off of a cooldown. And they're not using a Roadhog that can like hook people down from high ground. And unless the Brigitte lands a stun right as that Winston had tried to escape, he's going to be able to escape. So you're going to be using this as kind of like a way to slowly take map control from Goats, spam them out with these long-range damage heroes, and then hard engage once the resources of the Goats have been significantly depleted. This is a really methodical way of taking apart 3-3.
Just go try to get in.
So they're running 3 DPS here. So they're probably running solo Winston or solo healer. With a Pharah, solo Winston is more likely.
Goes. Just play point.
What all the way across on upper left?
Lucky up top, yeah.
Give me energy.
Yeah, so they've got the Mercy plugged into the Pharah, which means they're running Hidan on Zen somewhere and solo Winston.
Trying.
They can't really contest point.
Monkey bot.
Is that theater?
Jumping in.
So here you see the Winston's out of the window, and he's dropped his bubble. He doesn't really need to drop his bubble, because there's actually not a lot, like especially D.Va. D.Va actually blows chunks against this composition, because if you think about it, what can the D.Va actually defense matrix? Like Lucio's left clicks, Moira's orbs, and then D.Va's micro missiles, I guess. Like there's not a lot to actually defense matrix in the fact that, you know, there's so many things that can go through defense matrix. The Winston bubble is kind of similar to that, and then it's not really going to help you that much. They can either speed through it or attack right through it. Like Brigitte can attack through it, the Reinhardt can swing through it, D.Va can just boost through it. So yeah, there's not like a lot of use to the bubble and the defense matrix in this composition. So he uses it pretty early, and he's just trying to pressure xQc here. And the Goats don't have any target that they can really speed boost onto and rush down with their kind of tank blitz comp.
They're playing theater right
He
now.
has jump. He has jump.
Yeah, so xQc says that right there, is it's not worth blowing cooldowns on the Winston because he has jump. So he didn't jump onto the Goats because that would have made him a viable target. What he did is he staged up here. I don't have my pen functional. Oh, God. Sorry about this. I should have had this set up in advance. So what happened was that the Winston staged up here, and then he walked all the way around up to that window, and then he dropped out of the window without using his leap. xQc knows this, as it's pretty simple if you're at the higher level stuff. He says he still has leap. He's not worth committing on. So you basically just make him fuck off, because if you engage on him, he leaps away. So you just make him leap away while using as few resources as possible here. So, but this is like a really good Winston engage here.
Yeah. He wants up his jump! He wants up his jump!
Go down. Go down. Go down. Go down. Go down. Go hard.
Free kill,
What
monkey,
do
free
you
kill.
think?
Now, did he miss his jump? How did that Winston actually get punished
theater.
there?
Jumping in.
They're playing
So Winston
He has jump. He has jump.
does jump out,
yeah.
but I think whip shot hit him, but you can see the Winston's jump actually doesn't. I pointed at the screen right there. You can see right here. Okay. You can see the Winston messes up his jump and lands on the low ground. Now he has expended his resource or his cooldown, and now it's a reasonable action for the goats to hard commit on that. So there's the call, the speed boost will occur, and they'll just demolish that Winston.
Go hard.
Free kill,
With
free
you,
kill.
with you, guys.
And now they're just going to back off back to hotel and just keep turtling.
Hold shield. Widow one.
Watch out. I can see.
Come back.
And Boostio is just an utter god on Widowmaker.
Come back a bit.
Low heals.
10 seconds to me.
Yeah, I'm still okay.
I'm gonna need caps.
So they already lost 2. So they punished the Winston there, but they lost 2. 1 to a Widow, and then Tensa ate a Junkrat mine while discorded, which sucks, but...
Take it down. You know what? Just get back. Get all the way back.
Yeah, give me point. Just give me point.
No. Don't give him the whole point. We're gonna retake this.
So this is really good. And this is not something you see in ranked very often. A lot of people in ranked will have this huge desire to not want to give up any ticks. And xQc makes a great call here. He knows that if they kind of try and sit just around the corner in a hotel, they're either going to get spammed by the Pharah, the Junkrat, the Widow's going to find an angle, something's going to happen. So xQc calls to disengage and give them ticks. So somebody says, yeah, we'll just give them first point, and xQc's like, fuck that idea. We're going back in at 99%. He knows that Lucio, Tensa, is one of the guys that died. So the last person who died is going to be the Lucio, who's going to be coming back to speed boost, and they should have the team together to re-engage at the last moment. So it's way better to give up 2 ticks, 80%, 90% than it is to try and fight to prevent 1 tick and then lose all 3. So you'll see here they're going to turtle. Wavy is back on Genji, so he actually swapped off of the Zarya. But we will see Tensa coming back, and they'll re-engage before all of the ticks have been given up. This is the one time I've seen xQc make a big brain idea? Really? You do not watch enough xQc then.
Alright, ready?
We can.
They're gonna have a barrage. You're going hard here, boys.
We gotta go.
And it looks like Karasuno knows this is happening, and again, the Winston is the only one because they do not want to be on the point when Goats comes back with a vengeance.
I'm going.
So, Karasuno recognized this is what Goats was doing. DPS again on the Winston is here pressuring, but he hasn't used his jump, so he's not a viable target since he can escape at his leisure. And unless the Brigida lands another whip shot or his jump gets fucked up somehow, he's going to be fine here.
Go. Healing. Trying to heal Tensa.
Kaluj got Boostio. That's huge. Barrage comes out. Kaluj, I don't think will be in a position to actually defense matrix this.
Jump one.
And you can just see how much damage this triple DPS comp puts out, even with their Widowmaker down. So they're constantly in a fight for resources here. And this is one of the reasons why this composition is so much more challenging to run on defense than it is on offense. Because on offense, they can just sit there and spam you until they decide to hard commit.
Healing.
Tensa dies to Far again. This was a so at this point in time, the reason like people probably looked at this chart and goes, "Oh, xQc's a dumbass." This is the same sort of play that you make when you have to. xQc knows that this fight is lost at this point because they've lost Kaluj and Tensa, and Boostio just got rezzed. Whether he knew this by looking at the kill feed or just instinctually, the man thinks at like 900 miles per hour. So at this point, if he lands a pin, he can both get some more ult charge for himself and maybe start turning things around. But at this point, there's like a 99% chance that they've lost this point. So he's going for the high risk, high reward play that if he fucks up, well, the outcome of this fight is going to be the same that it was anyway.
I had to go kill that Widow. I got it.
It's a good hold. 140 fun.
Yeah, it is a great hold, considering you were playing against triple DPS, Pharah, Junkrat, and Widowmaker. With the Goats comp at 3-3, 90 seconds is not a bad hold.
Swap, main swap.
130.
This composition is not strong on defense.
I bridge out. Do I stay? Yeah, right.
I go monkey here.
Yes, they break for
Yeah,
one.
Ryan's dog shit here.
Yes, more like low risk, high reward. You're correct.
Yeah, how did you just switch? And wait, where are you? I'm not. Dude, their monkey's top left.
Okay, hold on.
I meant high risk as in like the risk of him dying or getting punished is high, but low risk is in the outcome of the actual game or the change in the flow of the game itself will be hardly impacted at all.
You guys gotta get out. It's on YouTube.
Sec.
Oh, we good.
So they're playing triple heal dive here with Genji?
Yep.
What are they playing? Interesting decision here. This still doesn't really let them actually contest... Oh, the Pharah's swapped here. So Karasuno has swapped Guru off of the Pharah and onto the Brigitte. And Guru is a really good Brigitte. So right now Karasuno is running more of a double spam here, which it's good that Goat swapped off the 3-3 here. But I'm not sure if the triple support dive here is absolutely necessary. I would like to see something a little bit higher damage. And Wavy's going to be able to go after Boostio. But if Boostio is protected or playing with Guru, then Wavy's not going to be able to get much value out of this pick.
When you look for engagement, this is a good team comp that we have.
Guru equals Guru lulz, yes. Yeah, that's Guru. That Guru.
Yeah.
I fell wood off that.
Wood all the way above, yeah.
We need look.
We can roll on him.
Zarya Rein isn't really a great pick against double spam.
He's actually there.
Nice little butt jump. Did you guys see that?
We need
Get
to
him out of
fight.
there.
Ready?
He's not there anymore.
He aims, jumps, 180s to make sure the headshot doesn't land,
He's actually
180s before land.
there.
Things like that just need to be kind of like muscle memory for any good Winston player.
I'm ready to go.
Let's go, let's go.
I'm just looking in the back. I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
I'm on monkey. I'm on monkey. Monkey out there.
Debatable.
I use my mag.
I don't think you'll be fine.
Monkey
Yeah,
still behind. Monkey still
Sorry,
behind.
sorry.
He backed up.
that was a pretty big mistake.
First target on point.
And even if Wavy had gone after that Widowmaker there, it wouldn't have been that much of a difference because you could see that Boostio immediately dropped back to Mercy Zenyatta, or sorry, Mercy Brigitte. Wait, what? What composition is Karasuno running? Do they have the Brigitte?
It helps it.
No,
Helps it.
monkey.
Helps it.
I'm not
Still
monkey.
money.
Monkey.
No.
Got him.
Either way, so they are running. So they're not playing Diva. It's Goats that are playing Diva here. So they did have the 3 supports, but Boostio was playing in a location where it was very easy for him to drop back to his supports. And even if Wavy had been there instead of xQc, would have been the same results.
Nice. Monkey's dead.
Can we fight this or do we get
We're gonna
out?
rest that.
Get
You can't. You can't. If you,
So I think the main problem here is going to be Wavy on the Genji.
Take the fight.
wait a little
Take
bit.
the
Almost
fight.
there.
Take the fight.
Because Boostio is not going to be in a location that Wavy can force a 1v1.
What am I?
Boostio is a real scary guy on Widowmaker, especially if he ends up on a flank. This is a really good, like, you can see that just being on the flank here, Boostio has forced xQc to use his cooldown to contest on the right side, and then he still got his grapple to retreat, which once he does that, he just grappled. Now xQc is actually out of the fight. So, like, xQc kinda has to do this because there's nobody else on his team available to actually force that Widowmaker to close the flank. But now that he's done that, he's committed a cooldown, Boostio's gone back, and now he's out of the fight.
He's out. Engage me. Ready? I'm going out. I'm on a point.
Bridger.
Monkey one.
Monkey one.
We're
Monkey
super
one.
across.
Yo, we're on different targets right now. Like, we're focusing on...
This is pretty uncoordinated, and this, I feel like, is mainly a playstyle difference, and the fact that these guys haven't scrimmed together. So xQc is kind of playing solo queue style right now, and he's not getting a lot of value out of like playing with his team or acting with his team. He's either kind of like playing on his own or engaging kind of like right after the rest of his team engaged, as well as Goats don't really feel super confident, or not confident, comfortable on the compositions that they run. And we'll see, like, if you watched the Ilios game in particular, or was it Nepal? No, it was Nepal. If you watched the Nepal game between these two teams, it became super evident just how unpracticed the Goats are. Karasuno had comps, plans, rollouts, all this, and multiple times the Goats guys were still trying to figure out what composition to run. And you can see kind of like how many times Goats have now swapped their composition just through third. And there was no like call from a shot caller to make that or anything like that. They were just kind of flexing. And here Sit has decided to take the duel against Boostio, which... that's a ballsy move, but we'll see how it works out. So they get rolled second just from a lack of teamwork. And I won't even say, like, the communication was fine, but you need to have some sort of organization before you can communicate. It's kind of like there's a list of things that you need to have done before you can actually start winning. And the communication was fine, but they didn't have the organization or the plan beforehand to actually kind of, like, steer that ship to victory.
Or thinking like alone. We don't necessarily have to focus them at all.
Let
We
me,
just
I
need
can
to
take
keep
them out myself. Let me get myself.
Do we want to run our own Bridget or not?
No, we have them.
Yeah, I think Miro.
You gotta get on the monkey.
Miro is the first one that truly popularized Winston.
They're,
Okay, I'll feel my Bridget a little bit more.
Dude, just try to discord that monkey more, and then I'm just gonna fuck him up even harder.
Okay.
Can we go in
Try for
our
the-
So their plan has shifted to, instead of like diving targets, to just pressure main tank. So they're going to be focusing on the Winston now.
Monkey above us.
all engaged.
Monkey's weak. Monkey's up down, pocketed.
What'll happen now?
You have
They're giving up a lot of room here. Looks like, yep, Wavy is bladed, but there's a trance, and then Wavy immediately dashes out, which is good.
What is above us?
What'll?
Get the widow.
I thought Junkrat.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna go Mercy now.
I couldn't.
What are that?
Widow's dead. Widow's
bomb
dead.
at the bomb.
Playing point. Keep playing point.
Train.
Yeah, so we're kind of having the same problems on third here that we did on second. And at this point, I think it would have been much better for the Goats to switch either to their 3-3 or a hybrid of their 3-3 with 1 DPS here. But xQc isn't acting enough with his team, and he keeps running into either Brigitte or like the 3 supports themselves. And Winston into the 3 support backline is going to do absolutely nothing at all, and he gets punished there pretty hard. So I actually didn't watch this game, but Goats are really struggling so far.
Yeah, help.
Yeah, I want to.
I'm on the widow.
Mercy.
Mercy, yeah.
Get the Mercy down.
Mercy's half on 250.
Bucky.
Boostio's using sights.
Okay, I'm discorded.
Hold target.
Monkey above, monkey
Yeah.
above.
Monkey above.
I was gonna say that Winston jumping, he's discorded. That's a cooldown, which means he can't escape. That's a dive tank that has used mobility can be a viable dive target in the same way that during the Sombra dive meta, hacking a tank may especially a diva. If you could get a discord and a hack on a diva, it shut her defense matrix down, it shut her boosters down, and she became a perfectly viable dive target. So if you are ever playing dive tanks of your own, just remember that if you do directly engage onto opponent with jump, the opponent has the ability to punish you way easier.
I got you.
So he's discorded. I don't think, again, he's kind of only really soft diving here because he's going to be constantly retreating back to Guru on the Brigitte in a way that xQc can't follow him in.
I got you.
He's out.
There's a point.
I'm on him.
That's far, I think.
I checked over here. Get Bridget. Get her.
That's good. Really good separation onto the Brigitte. That alone should be enough to win the fight. They don't really need anything else here. But Guru dropping definitely allows Goats to be way more aggressive here.
Monkey now.
Tracer.
Who's up there?
I get it, baby.
And Sid gets 2.
Finish him off. Finish him off, Hanky. Let's go.
I can't. He's pickpocket.
Let's kill these 2.
So Sid being on the Widow here, I still don't think Wavy's getting a lot done. Sit is definitely... Boostio can be... There's not a lot of angles that Boostio can take to actually engage on Sit, but in the same way, there's not actually that many positions that Sit can be in to contribute value during one of Karasuno's attacks here. And we're seeing that Karasuno has already switched off of the Winston Diva, and they're going to Rein Zarya, which could also prompt our Goats to switch back onto their 3-3 composition. But Sid is doing a good job of keeping Boostio in check, alongside with Goats just not allowing Boostio to get into a good position because there really aren't that many he can be in. And then we'll have to see how Wavy's blade works out, but his last blade got nothing because of trance. And I think that either Hidan will have trance or Guru will be able to kind of zone Wavy out here. So we'll have to see how blade comes out from Wavy, but I don't think it's going to find much value, and I would expect Goats to swap after DPS and Far have swapped to Zarya and Reinhardt respectively.
I think you go Tracer or Brigitte. I think you should go Tracer or Brigitte.
Alright.
They have Ryan now. They have Ryan. Ryan, sorry.
Ryan Zarya,
Wait,
they're running...
Just play the high ground then.
All the net the widow. As much as I can.
So xQc is going to do his best to make sure that Boostio can't find an angle where he can freely engage on his team or take the duel with Sit.
Yeah, Widow's back left right now.
What? How do you know?
We have blade. We need to use blade early before they get to get a
Ready?
trance.
Widow above. She's out of there.
So instead of going for the Zen, instead of going for anything like that, he wants to keep Boostio out of the fight as much as possible. Sid's got good control. Sid's got good sight lines. As long as Boostio can't take the duel and win the duel with Sit, then Goats is going to be sitting pretty here.
Ready? Let's go.
Here you go.
There's the blade. It does get Boostio.
Virgil behind you, Virgil behind you.
Gets rezzed up in the trance though, so again the blade not getting a ton of value here, and Guru's used rally to try and counter push. Kaluj is already low. This is probably going to lead to a wipe, and then Goats is going to try and recontest, probably with a different composition. Oh, they're using trance. Okay.
I'm over Virgil still. Run low.
Fine.
I'm over Virgil, run. Get out. Don't stay here.
I got mech back. Stay alive.
So Boostio, I think, used sights here.
What else?
Boostio's crazy,
Look
man.
up on boxes.
I have shatter maybe?
He does have shatter. He's at 70. That's 70.
Come on.
Got Widow.
Kaluj gets Boostio. That's huge.
Focus.
Go in. Yo, Zoro behind you. I'm shattered.
Run!
And this is also going to be one of the main challenges of playing dive into a Reinhardt composition, is that whenever that Reinhardt has hammer, he's never going to miss it. There's no reason that a Reinhardt should ever miss a hammer against dive. And you don't really even need to hit that many. Hitting a tank, hitting 2, like 2 is just gravy. But yeah, he just just solo slammed xQc and charged him into a wall, because that's all they really needed.
Okay.
So it's
Play
very
safe.
challenging to play this sort of kind of like pokey, long engage dive into a Reinhardt comp,
Reinhardt's,
because they're always going to get a free hammer. Kaluj is not the weak link. Kaluj is a very good tank player.
One. Dead.
No, right.
Send it back.
Run!
Kill the Mercy. Get in there.
Bridge the point!
Knock him off.
Nice.
I can push her actually.
Yo. I'm down.
Run!
Hey, bomb.
Mercy!
Nice.
That's unfortunate.
Don't let her demech me. Oh my god. She has grav.
Yeah,
Max,
I pulse here.
So there's a few things that go on here that I think are interesting to point out from the perspective of like somebody playing on a team.
Nice, dude.
So the call from Kaluj is, don't let her demech me.
Sorry.
Don't let her demech me.
So you heard that.
Oh my god. She has grav.
She has grav. So this is one of the more kind of like, this is not the greatest example of it ever, but if you do get like farmed by somebody for a lot of damage, you need to let your team know so that they can adjust their ult tracking of it. So there's Zarya just used grav here, but Kaluj knows that he fed far a fuck ton of ult charge on Zarya. So they've made the call that despite the Zarya having used grav last fight, she has it again next fight. So this is a pretty important little kernel of information that they've passed amongst their team, is that yes, Zarya used grav, but she has it again. And if xQc, who is respawning, didn't see this, if this wasn't communicated, he wouldn't know that this was the case. He would assume that Zarya just used grav, there's no way she has it. So I think it's just an interesting piece of comms info there.
Get played early.
They went with
Remember,
three.
keep taking the fights early. The earlier the better. McQueen's easy to
I
dive.
believe you can get a fucking transer here. I believe
If
you.
you know the cooldowns of
I
the
believe.
brigade.
They got him
Won't
McCree
have
now.
to take until their last team fight.
I'm ready.
They have
Their last
transit. They
team- Don't be
transition
scared
or
of the
no?
tank.
They transition or no?
I did have.
I don't think they have trance, no.
We can still go hard here though.
Yeah, we can go hard.
Zen the back
You
of
guys
that?
ready? You guys ready?
I'm not going.
Discorded damage boosted headshots.
I have one tap, dude. Sorry about
60 seconds.
that. He'll wavy.
Boostio is just a god.
Right now.
Keep trying to contest.
Yeah. Right us.
One on.
Right.
Nice,
Okay,
McCree. Kill me. I'm dead. Watch out.
Keep going.
Shut
They
it.
don't have
Zero.
trans, baby. They don't have trans. They don't have trans.
McCree. He's so on center now. One.
Nice.
Get the back line. He's in there. He's out. I'm actually not here. I'm actually not here.
Yeah, so like the main composition, the main issue here for Goats is 100% their composition. xQc is really struggling here, and it's not like there is a good play for Winston here. There's not. There's 100% not. They're looking for him. They switched Boostio onto a McCree, And any position that he tries to deny, he's just getting pressured. He can't engage the back line because of the stuns and the extra healing. He's not going to be able to kill anything without assistance. And really the best value that he can get is engaging the frontline tanks, like pressuring DPS and whatnot when they're kind of clustered to get that nice cleave damage here. But this is one of the biggest weaknesses of Ghost right now, is that they have good comms. You know, Tense is a good shot caller. They have very smart players, notably xQc himself. But their plans and their compositions kind of fall through in some places, especially when they're not running their 3-3 super aggro playstyle, which synergizes really well with their style of communication. They just really struggle here. I'm amazed that they've spent this long on Winston Genji against the composition that they're going against. And on top of that, I'm even more shocked that they've been holding for this long doing so.
Guys, come back, Trance. Oh, Trance, let's come here.
Walk back, take your time, take your time.
Drinking.
You're fine, Kalush. You're being trans.
Huge!
That's a pretty good down. Keep playing coin.
Sorry.
Discord the mercy right now.
I can't get
Like, there's just so much damage. And whenever you do hear these, like, huge bursts of comms where everyone starts screaming about a target, it's because, like, what's happening here is that if Karasuno is playing perfectly, there's nothing that Goats can engage on safely without dying. So anytime you hear them really excitedly chatter like, Rhine, or anything like that, it's because that means the opponent has made a mistake or an opportunity has presented itself. And the Rhine charged in and he was discorded. So this is an opportunity because the Rhine is now out of position and discorded. So Goats goes crazy, calls it out, because they know that DPS, the main tank for Karasuno, is going to be retreating, and Karasuno is going to be trying to help him. So they have this very, very tiny window where they finally have an opportunity that they can kill somebody, and they capitalize on it. So that's why you hear these kind of like weird positional information calls going on. An opportunity is recognized, really frantic calling, punished, back to this like weird posturing, trying their best to sustain against the crazy high damage that Karasuno is putting out here.
Be there in a second. Keep going.
Sorry. Myself.
5 seconds. So we need 3 seconds.
I got it.
I got it. I'm dead.
And they got them to overtime. This is really good.
Alright, nice.
We can see Romo on the attack.
So now they don't really care. So they got them to overtime, and getting them to overtime is huge. The difference between 0.0 seconds and 0.1 seconds is actually massive. In the fact that if they're at 0.1 seconds and you cap with 2 minutes remaining, what means is that they get 1 minute and you get 3 minutes. But if they're in overtime, they don't get a second attempt if you cap with more than a minute remaining. So this means that going into the next round, Goats are going to be coming out with a vengeance because their game plan is to cap all 3 points of King's Row with more than 60 seconds remaining, because if they can do that, they guarantee at least a draw.
Dude, I don't think my fucking brain's out. Dude, I got discorded, I got 2 headshots. I was damage boost, this sword 1 taps. It's crazy.
Yes, it is. Boostio's a god.
I need to be way
This
more
is also what happens when you don't do scouting reports on the enemy team and you don't know what to expect or the competencies of the opposing players. So, like, teams like this at the contenders trials and the contenders levels should be doing scouting reports on the people they're playing against. So I feel like xQc didn't know who Boostio was, and he's not like a big name or anything. He's an up-and-coming name. You're going to be hearing more about Boostio in the future. I guarantee it. Fantastic Widow player, and you'll just see Goats themselves get dumpstered by Boostio on Widow for a pretty significant period of time. So scouting reports on like what Karasuno plays, how they like to play, things like this would have given at least xQc more information about how to play around them.
That's entirely my fault.
Is Boostio in chat here?
Hello?
Oh, hey, Boostio.
What's up, big dog?
How you doing, bud? We were just talking
I'm
about
doing
you.
good. No.
Yeah, we were. We're looking at the King's Row game between Goats and Karasuno.
Yeah, dude, I was talking in your chat, brother.
Yeah, the chat just freaked out, whatnot. So, because people were saying, like, I was talking, like, you're a really talented player, and pretty much nobody knows who you are right now. So, we were just kind of.
Oh, brother. Thank you.
And you're streaming right now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Cool. So, I guess you don't have a lot of team experience. You've hit number 1 on the ladder how many times now?
Just once.
Just once? I thought you.
Yeah, I was top 10 for like 2 weeks, but I hit rank 1 at like the very beginning of the season.
Congratulations. And the Karasuno is the first or most serious team you've been on, right?
Yes, pretty much. I've only been like doing scrims for like 3 months.
So you just started scrimming like 3 months ago. You're already on Karasuno. Got a pretty good chance to qualify for contenders. Overwatch League.
Yeah.
Overwatch League, your goal, or?
Yes, 100%.
Nice. So why didn't you pursue teams earlier?
I didn't really know anything about it.
So what was your first introduction to like the competitive side of Overwatch?
Do you know who Cynic is?
I don't actually.
He was like kind of like he was supposedly like a coach on Florida Mayhem, and he was like a really good friend of mine, and he's from EU, and he got me a tryout with like when Kakarna disbanded, like all their players came to like this team, and then we played for like 2 weeks, and then that team disbanded, and then he was like, since you kind of got screwed over, I got a team you could try out for.
Are you legit playing in a top 500 game right now while giving an interview?
Yeah. It's a little difficult. And I'm playing Doomfist, which I'm not very good at.
I love you, Boostio.
I love you too, brother.
I'm gonna let you go. Enjoy your game.
Okay.
Good luck.
If you want to talk later,
yeah,
I will.
Are you gonna be streaming for like most of the day? Because I'll host you when I'm done if you want.
I can't because of the trials today.
Oh right. Oh, that's too bad. I'll host you another day. Good luck with your game, dude.
Okay, thank you, dude. All right, see you, dude. Have a good day, Jayne.
Guy's legit playing on a top 100 account. Oh my god. I love Boostio. I love Boostio so much. He's... Oh, man. Yeah, you'll hear more about him in the future, I assure you. He's only been scrimming for 3 months. Yeah, guy's nut. That guy's a nut. Guy's a nut. Anyway. Fucking Boostio. God damn it. Oh.
I put us in that position.
Do you know how old he is? I don't know.
Okay, we hold. Yeah, listen. I need to hear you guys remove all your keys. I need W only. We W only.
Yes! Yes!
We win this game with fucking 4 minutes remaining.
Oh, and you lead. Let us know. We'll feed with you.
So I got really high hopes for this kind of attack phase from Goats because they were playing on defense with a comp that wasn't very good on defense. Then they switched to a comp that was just shit in general, and they still did okay. So I'm just hoping that they fucking steamroll this attack. We Goats again. Oh, that's real good. That's real good.
Confidence. We're better than this team.
Are we unit lost now?
It's got a baby. Pop off.
I can't do a Silos impression. I'm gonna laugh too
Continue
hard.
pressing like Q off cooldown.
Absolutely
Where's
incredible,
Q,
ladies and gentlemen.
ultimate skills to get him.
Oh my god.
At any point.
I hope I hope Team Canada ends up going against Team
We're doing
UK
good
at some point
our
during the
team
World
staying
Cup.
alive, holding the high ground and just swapping health. We're doing good.
Staying alive, have fucking 9 deaths, but yeah, that's okay. There you go, Jayne.
Too good.
So a thing to keep in mind with how their team plays. So Boostio likes to flank, correct?
Yes.
He also sometimes has like a pocket.
So they did do like they do have some scouting on Karasuno. Okay, my opinion of them went up just slightly.
Either run the Mercy or to forget. I think we just ignore him
or at least Tensa. Like this could just be Tensa's observations from just the last half.
If you're going to
Because I'm sure that Goats and Karasuno have played before. I'm sure of it.
jump on him or do anything to him, you just need to establish a zone on him and then rotate back.
You should have saw them try and pin. Like if he didn't pin me, I would have wiped.
Like xQc's should be the only member of this team who has not played Karasuno and doesn't know what to expect. And I don't feel like anyone talked to him about Karasuno.
Would kill everyone. I know. All right.
Fine. We really get 5 minutes here.
You ready here, boys?
Nothing less than 5 minutes.
Nothing less than 5 minutes. That's the hype I want to hear when I'm on a team.
Walk
Line
up.
up, or should we do
We're
a
gonna do
shot?
this shit. We have to do against that.
Go right, son.
Good
Oh,
run.
no, just go under, go on.
So this is one of the best things to do against this sort of composition, and why King's Row isn't the greatest for this style of Orisa defense is the call was go right side. So going right side, there could be 1,000 reasons for why. I'm not sure why exactly Tensa called that. It's not wrong. But then as soon as they see the Orisa comp on the high ground, they call go under. So that means basically go directly underneath the defenders on the high ground. This will take them out of direct line of sight and force somebody to contest them on the point.
Go under the point.
So they're going to use all of their defense matrix. First of all, that halt needs to be eaten by the defense matrix. So Kaluj boosts right up to the high ground guys with his defense matrix, and this will give Goats time to take position on the point.
Bubble right there.
Go.
And then position right here, you can see that they're now out of LOS of the defenders on the high ground, and they're going to have to drop to contest them on the point.
Play together.
Widow, stop right.
Widow.
Now, Boostio is going to be flanking somewhere.
The window.
I'm on the Orisa.
Boostio gets Tensa.
Where's the
Tensa and Majesty die a lot here. Like, to be fair, they are the focus, but they do die a lot. Orisa, whether you call this fortify, the call out that I was actually really impressed by was gold. So apparently the call out some people are using for Orisa's fortify is gold, but trying to punish an Orisa who's using fortify while she's being healed is insanely difficult. It's so challenging, which is why Orisa is the one who's going to be dropping here. So she drops to contest. I don't like how far up she was actually to the Goats composition, but as soon as Fortify is about to be running, she's turning around, stopped firing to basically remove any possibility of her getting crit hit and then running away.
Kill her.
So gold just ran out and she dies. So that was a really aggressive stance by DPS, and I think that I would classify that as a pretty big mistake. However, somewhere else, Majesty has also died. So Tensa and Majesty die first quite a bit.
No heals.
I'm with you. You're fine.
Good point. Nice. One time.
Good. He's out.
Nice. Play fast for you.
The Diva is going to be after the next one to contest, but Diva doesn't have bomb yet, and she doesn't have a damage reduction ability like Take a Breather or Gold or Fortify, so she's also just going to get punished here real hard, especially with the Brigitte still alive.
I'm with you.
Oh, she boosted back up, and then Boostio takes out the Brigitte. I still don't know where Boostio is right now. He's probably in a window somewhere.
Fuck.
Mercy trying to red.
And then this is a really great pin from xQc. He backs up, and then I assume that he charged because he assumed that somebody was going to chase him, but he does get Guru anyway. Nice ult charge. He's going to get a swing and a fire strike before he dies, which should put him up to about 80%. Swing. Oh, he didn't land the swing.
I got Diva.
They still should win this just off of respawns, though.
Maybe Diva?
Get the Diva.
Maybe no point, please, kill her.
Yeah. Dead.
Window, 2 on them.
We're good. Nice.
Rest.
I'm on the Orisa.
So they wanted 5 minutes, and it looks like they're going to get more than that.
What else? 1 HP. What else? Literally 1 HP.
Get off the point, baby.
5 minutes and 32 seconds. Huge pace.
What else? 1 HP.
Zen low. You can go in Kaluj. One more. Nice. I got point. You can do whatever in front.
Speed.
There could be mercy.
What do I think about xQc pushing card here? I think it should be Kaluj who's pushing card here. You definitely want Lucio up because he can control the engagements. You definitely want Moira up so that you can put out a large amount of healing as well as contribute a large amount to damage. But Kaluj already has bomb. Wavy definitely needs to be up there because he's Zarya and he wants to be maintaining charge and whatnot. But I think that Kaluj should be pushing the cart and xQc should be up. Minor, but things like this that aren't being communicated. Just minor losses of efficiency that take like 30 seconds to decide and can, really help you in the stagger phase here. No brothers in this chat, Kekona. Fazix. And Rob Dab, how you doing? When are you going to put your name back to Rob420, by the way? Rob Dab just doesn't have the same ring to it.
Bunker up. Stagger. Wait, walk away.
Move on payload now. Move on payload.
Monkey now. Listen, I'm gonna do a super short shatter. I'm gonna get like 1 or 2 shatter. That's it.
Alright,
Just insta kill it.
What are the payload speeds for people on it? I don't know the actual meters per second movement of it, but one person on the payload will move it at 100% speed. 2 people on the payload will move it at 116% move speed. and 3 people will move it at 133% move speed. So outside of like if you have the opportunity to move forward and stagger, or you think that gaining or maintaining positional advantage is more important than cart distance, then having one person on is optimal. Oh, Kalush is in chat. Hello, Kalush. It's hard for me to spot people who aren't partners.
Sometimes I hear you. Yeah.
Someone, I'll feed you into somebody.
That's fair, dude. Double explosives, watch out. Double explosives, fucking tracer.
Yeah, we have.
They could have tired. They could have tired. They don't have barrage. They could have.
Are you doing anything right now, Kalush? You could jump on and say hi.
Yo, what's up, man?
Not much. How you doing, Kalush?
I'm doing good.
Let me just make sure your volume's up there. So, for those people in chat who don't know who you are, just want to say hi, give a quick introduction to yourself, and kind of... People by now should know who you are, but if they don't...
I'm Kalug, I'm off tank, you know. I'm a beast. No, I'm just kidding.
You're not a
Bro,
beast?
I actually want to know what's going wrong in these games, though.
So, you...
So I started watching, I was like, oh, shit.
But how did King's Row go from your perspective?
Honestly, I don't know what happened. I was getting tilted because I felt like there was synergy. Like, it just wasn't there. Because me and Gator just... I don't know what it is. I know what he's going to do. He knows what I'm going to do.
Yeah, when I've worked with teams before, there's quite a few people when in terms of like having tank lines be functional or really working together. There's quite a few people who mention that after having played together for quite a while, the off tank just knows what the main tank is going to do, and the main tank just knows what the off tank is going to do. Because you duo with Gator quite a bit in ranked as well, do you not?
Yeah, I just chill with him too, like in a Discord call.
Mm-hmm. And what are the main differences you're finding between Gator, who's now your coach, and so Gator was the main tank, but now he's coaching for this Contenders run, and xQc has taken over the main tank duties of Gator. What are the main differences between Gator, who you're used to playing with, and xQc, who this is the first game you've played with him as your counterpart on main tank?
Gator, see, the thing about Gator is he controls us. We're like minions. And me and NK, we don't have brains for ourselves. We actually can't think for ourselves too much. And Gator pretty much tells us what to do, and that's pretty much what's going on. xQc is not doing the same thing as Gator. So, like, it takes a lot for someone to do that, though.
Now, Tensa was doing quite a bit of shot calling throughout this match. Is that his normal style of shot calling, or his normal communication, or is he kind of like taking over and trying to do more since Gators is not, on the active roster right now?
Nah, he's done that for a while. He does it in between fights a lot. Ult tracks, says what we need to do, and like if we need to adjust to certain plays. Okay.
So you think the main challenge, I suppose, is like Gator not telling, like it sounds not like micromanaging, but kind of like...
No, it's more of a xQc's not used to calling the way he is on Winston. It's like Reinhardt. You got to play Reinhardt like Winston and the way we play the 3 tank, because you're just running around at people.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're diving people with Reinhardt. It's weird.
And
I feel like he's only used to doing that with Winston.
Did you have any scrims with xQc prior to this game, or is this the first time that you guys have played with this 6-man roster?
We scrimmed for 2 hours. That's pretty much it.
Did you win in scrims?
No.
So didn't win in scrims, and then this one was pretty close. Like going into this one, were you feeling confident? Was I suppose Goats just in about the last week and a half has gotten a lot of attention, especially with xQc. Was that pressure of suddenly being in the spotlight kind of making things more difficult to focus on the game as well?
No, I feel like I played better in the spotlight.
Oh, awesome. So, and do you think, despite the loss to Karasuno, you guys are still going to qualify for Contenders, or do you think that's going to be...
Still qualifying. I'm not even worried about it.
You're not even worried about it.
Awesome. We're gonna fix. We're fixing the problems right now. So like we knew, like the DC thing, that's never gonna happen again, and
on pain of death.
Oh yeah, that shit. Oh my god, it made me so mad.
Yeah, we could tell. It's actually kind of funny. A lot of people were commenting that xQc, despite being known for more of an explosive personality, was actually one of the more level-headed guys on the team during.
Yeah, I don't know why he wasn't. He literally was like, I thought he's gonna be so much more like out and like talking in comms, and he just, I don't know.
He was. I watched from his stream perspective, which, by the way, you and xQc both deleted your perspectives. Was that because you didn't want to get scouted?
Oh yeah, I deleted my VOD.
I couldn't find it on your.
Oh, it's literally. I think it's still there.
Oh, maybe I'm just blind then. xQc definitely deleted his perspective of the VOD, but
Yeah, it's right here. Streaming 3-minute delay.
I'm bad then. For some reason, when I kept skimming through it, I just saw top 500 icons. But okay.
Oh yeah, that's because after I got off the stream, I started playing ranked like right away.
Okay.
So it's the one. It's the 2 hour and 15-minute one.
Okay. Well, we still found somebody uploaded it direct to YouTube, so that's the VOD link we're using here. Do you know why xQc deleted his perspective?
I have no idea why.
Okay. Any specific?
Oh yeah, he felt bad, but it's not his fault, dude. We have no synergy with him.
I don't know why he felt bad. He played well. You played well.
Yeah, no, he played good.
Yeah. Okay. Any things you wanted to like point out, or like anything specifically in the Kings Row game that you're gonna try and like look like any instances where like what happened here?
I mean, we could just work on combos a little bit more. Me and Fro, like the shield bash with the Reinhardt and the Diva Bomb, but that's pretty much it. Like I gotta stop overextending a little bit too, because I get caught out, but I don't really know what else to do.
Okay.
I'm just gonna watch. See what you have to say.
I did turn screen share on there. Is it working for you?
Oh yeah, I see it.
Okay, perfect. So if you don't want to put up with the delay of stream, you can just look right there.
All right.
Okay.
We have way more to them.
How do they know I'm
Monkey,
here?
Monkey, no jump, no jump. Just go on him, spin on him.
I can't get him, Monkey.
Nice.
I'm dead, I'm dead.
I'm dead.
Keep spinning.
Watch out. Come on, Ted. Come on, one sec. I can't heal there.
Okay, so I'm not gonna let him
Yeah, that pulse bomb you got caught in there. You bombed there to remech, I assume.
No, I bombed there to stop the res.
Oh, to stop the res onto them.
Yeah.
Come on, Ted. One sec.
But I got fucked up. Because what I was going to do is I was going to get back in mech and then boop her away when she came in.
Boostio drops a pulse bomb just on the wall. It's good enough to kill you. And then that's a reset.
Do we swap here or not? No,
we
Stay with this then, stay with this.
Now, before Gators swapped off of main tank and onto coach, did you guys have a coach as a team, or have you been operating for quite a while now without a coach?
We've been always without a coach. Tense is kind of just a person that tells us what to do.
And now you have both Gator
He came up with the comp.
the famous goats comp, the 3-3 there.
Yeah, he came up with it.
And now you also have Danny helping you guys out as well, correct?
Oh yeah, Danny's pretty good, dude.
Yeah.
He's really good at.
Danny's helping me on Team Canada. I was like, oh wait, you're helping goats as well. That's pretty cool. I like him. He's good people. So there's the grab coming out.
Burn that junker as much as you can.
Nice.
I need heals in the back. Done dad.
Billy.
Raj, get that fire done. Nice.
Watch out.
So yeah, I knew what they were doing to counter our comp too. They were running a Winston, like a solo Winston.
Yep.
And what they were doing is they were just having him draw away all the pressure every time he tried to dive.
And even on
And
their first attack, they ran the that was a sweet sweet fire.
Oh, yeah.
On the first attack, they ran their triple DPS there, which was just so much spam against your composition.
Yeah,
they're
it's
gonna
hard to
build
do.
Riptire. They're going to
You
build
can't chase him
Barrage.
down.
No, not at all. So, and they were doing a pretty good job of that. So, this is. Do you always run the 3-3 composition on the defense?
On the defense,
Go again.
we've been trying out different stuff, but yeah, we usually just run it all the time. We just have to play really aggressive with it. I just don't know what to do against this team comp right here because this is crazy. The 3 DPS Winston.
Mm-hmm. So with this composition, it's going to be really challenging, especially if the Winston is playing on the high ground. And this composition is probably one of the better suited ones in order to actually counter. Like the double spam alone is extremely challenging. Boostio on the Tracer, the Tracer isn't probably the best pick here, but it's still going to be really good at applying a lot of pressure onto your backline. It's going to mean that like Brigitte can't be as frontliney pressuring DPS. And by DPS, I mean their main tank, who's named DPS, and it's the most confusing thing ever. But they don't really, really present a target for you guys to actually attack. And you don't have any way to force an engagement against targets that are either long range or highly mobile. And even like your Graviton here is going to be extremely challenging to actually catch anybody out. So it's if you can't find an opportunity in these sort of situations, you need to kind of create them. And honestly, the Zenyatta is going to be one of the better ones for you to actually speed onto. If there is no other targets.
That's what Tensa said too.
Yeah, Tensa's a smart guy. So it's one of the things where even if your best option is a weird option, you still have to go with it. Like, you can't speed onto Boostio. Far is going to be extremely challenging to dislodge, especially if he places himself in areas where he can use the trap for dislodgement or just conks to knock everybody apart. Whereas Hedan, he needs to play within LOS, and you can speed down after him, and you control any of the engagements. So anything that you can force the engagement on with your composition, like if they had a Reinhardt, doesn't matter. He's a viable target. If they had a Brigitte, viable target. So it's just whatever you can attack in this composition becomes your best target.
But usually, if we don't win this team fight, we need to swap. We need to swap dive. Dive is really free in this team fight. They don't have tire.
We're gonna win it. We're gonna win it.
60 to 70 of Raj.
There's a mine.
Check lane.
So that's absolutely huge that Sit got Boostio.
Yeah, I think that's what won us.
And of course, if you have legitimately nothing that you can actually engage on, your final option is simply just to turtle on the point and force them to come to you. But in a composition like they're running with double spam, that plays
hard
into
to do
their, that plays completely into their hands, because they're just going to charge barrage, they're going to charge Riptire, and then they're just going to destroy you.
We have grab. If we don't get the grab off, we need all.
It can be small. We don't give a fuck. A 2-man is a winning.
No, fuck.
I'm with you.
So what happened here? You got demeched here.
Oh yeah, no, okay. So I was trying to make a play on the Widowmaker to force her off the high ground because she was just gonna sit up there the whole game and snipe us.
Yeah, you are the only character with vertical mobility, so that is
and
your
I
job.
fucked up. I just fucked up with the boosters, and then I got caught out. And I was like, damn, that's it. Gotta reset.
If we don't get the grab off, we need all.
It can be small. We don't give a fuck. A 2-man is a winning.
No, fuck.
I think I got a little too aggressive. I could have waited a little bit. My team to push up.
I don't want to lose him.
Grab is a winning fight.
At least when you're far back and you still have that Rhine shield, there's no like immediate rush to get Boostio displaced out of his perch spots. So, yeah, it's unfortunate about the like messing up the boosters there, but yeah, the timing.
That was another big problem. Is I was the only one that could chase down that Winston, and I could not do enough damage to kill him because he would just keep jumping away or he'd get double pocketed. So I needed someone else to come with me.
Yeah,
but no one else could.
In this specific instance, you probably wouldn't want to chase the Winston down. Is that Karasuno was doing this as well with their Boostio on their attack phase, where they would put these characters into positions where they could, pressure or engage. But if you ever kind of responded, and xQc fell for this twice or 3 times on the defense, where he tried to pressure Boostio. Boostio immediately fell back to 3 supports, and if he tried to pursue, he'd just get destroyed. And if he didn't pursue, well, suddenly he's in a bad position without his cooldowns. So it kind of like removed him from the fight. In the same instance where you don't actually want to be chasing the Winston, your game plan here, since he is going to be extremely hard for you to actually kill, just making him fuck off is good enough. But your defense matrix and your DPS, as well as the ability to protect, Majesty and Tensa, is way more important than the low chance of being able to finish off a Winston who's retreated back to his healers, where no one else from your team can assist you. You don't even have a Zenyatta, so you can't roll with Harmony when you chase him back to the high ground.
I said don't even go for him.
I'm swapping Mercy.
Just only poke him a little bit.
Go Zen.
Yeah, I'm swapping Zen. Yeah. Okay.
Are we diving?
No. Main team is not.
Mikey's on like left side, I think I heard him. Maybe above us?
Yeah, that was the problem right there too. Everyone was sitting on top of the high ground. I did not know what to do.
Yeah,
It's so hard to force them all off.
This so Karasuno is playing this perfectly. Is that the composition, the 3-3 goats composition, and this is I'm sure you saw Elk's now famous comment during the pit tournament where he said that after you beat NRG,
I seen.
Yeah, when you guys beat NRG in the finals of the beat with this composition, Elk made the famous comment, "I enjoyed watching a bad team win with a bad comp."
Oh, that was so funny, dude.
Which is fucking hilarious, especially considering that Fusion University, the actual champions of North American contenders last season,
We got slapped.
you slapped them. You beat them. So You beat the literal winners of North American contenders in the pit after Elk, the IGL for Fusion University, made the comment that goats were a bad team.
Oh, I
with
was
a bad
so
comp.
happy when I saw that too.
Yeah,
I was like, oh.
that must have been real good. But that being said, Elk isn't wrong about the bad comp part of things. Now, its 3-3 composition is cheesy, and it works in areas where there's not high ground, but there are very distinct weaknesses. And Karasuno, they obviously prepped for this. They knew your guys' preferences. They're using the high grounds. They're using these double spams. They exploited it real nice with the double explosives, the really high impact ultimate, since you guys bleed ult charge. So it's the same sort of thing where using it on defense is a really large risk. And we're seeing this a lot more with teams, for example, on Blizzard World. Blizzard World and Hanamura are the two maps that we're seeing it the most on, where Overwatch League teams, what they're doing is they are amping speed out of the spawn, and then a Sombra is stealthing. So Sombra gets a speed boost while she's stealthed, and she gets the speed boost from Lucio's speed amp. So Sombra can actually clear the first choke while still invisible, scout the defenders, then translocate back to spawn. So before the attackers ever leave the spawn room, they've already counterpicked. And they can do this before the 15 seconds is up and before the defenders can use tab to see what the attackers are going to run. So defensive strats always have to be generic, because the attackers always have the luxury of counterpicking at their leisure. Whether or not they do like a really fast scout with a Lucio Sombra or something like that, even if they take the first fight, they go, oh, we actually picked the wrong comp for this, let's go back and swap. The only thing that they've really lost there is a little bit of ult charge. They're starting to scout it. So playing a composition like 3-3 on defense, especially in a tournament environment, is really quite a poor choice. Running any sort of defensive composition that has an exploitable weakness is very high risk, and you're taking the risk that the opponent either doesn't know how to counter it or can't execute that counter effectively. So on attack here, once we're moving into the third point, where there are two areas of high ground where they can use to, place their Mercy safely, Pharah safely, Junkrat safely, Widow safely, and you on D.Va are the only one who can contest them, there is no right play for you. They have basically put you in check. And you can kind of like keep throwing yourselves onto the payload and trying to get distance every time, because the only person who can really stop you from moving the payload is the Winston, and every time he engages, you can very quickly make him fuck off. But each and every engagement is a race against time before they either kill somebody or charge their ultimates up enough to crush you. And they are going to have Riptire or Barrage every single fight if you keep running this. So your best answer here is to turtle on the payload and try and fight for distance instead of fight for team fights, because you can't win, at least not consistently, against this sort of composition. So at this point, with them running this composition, I would probably have swapped.
What to what?
Dive would be anything like triple DPS.
Dive.
Yeah, like old, before D.Va got really, really buffed, triple DPS dive, like what Rogue played there, was really good. But anything against triple DPS there is very, very weak to dive. Very weak to dive. Excuse me.
Shit, I gotta pull out my Doomfist.
You do it. That would have been great.
Kill him in, he has to jump out. No, don't monkey.
Widow top right, watch out.
He see, he use it. Let's go!
Oh, he missed the fire. Oh, that's so unfortunate.
Monkey,
Oh.
fine.
Just barely missed the fire strike on the tire.
I'm with you.
One fire strike. Yes, he got it. It's huge.
Here, get out.
Yeah?
Oh, everybody else died though. That's unfortunate.
Yeah,
And
I
there
told
was-
I
you had a
had to
DC.
tell them.
You had a DC
Oh
too.
yeah, there it is.
Back up.
Yeah, I was so mad, dude.
Not bad here at all.
Because that's not the first time that happened. That happened the first time we played Fusion 2, and they stomped us. And that's why I don't even know. Give me bad memories.
Bad memories.
Fuck it off. They're running double spam.
They went tracer now.
Yeah, no,
That's good.
saying that.
We go fast then, you go fast then.
Okay.
There's Rally.
Let me get a rally.
I'm sure here.
Come on, monkey one.
So this is the. I'm not sure. What are you? Do you remember what you're doing in this fight? Of course, we only have xQc's perspective, not yours. Or...
Oh, I have a bod, but like right now, I'm probably at the high ground trying to force off the Junkrat. That's just spamming shots down.
So xQc's doing a good job. He's moving the payload here.
Yeah.
Only one on, but getting distance. And this is, of course, like the main goal. It's one of your only real win conditions.
They can't contest.
There's DPS trying to contest it. Huge. There's the charge.
Oh,
Removes
yeah,
the Junkrat
we
first.
told them that shit was nasty.
Yeah, that was really good. First, you punish, or not you, xQc punishes the Junkrat, who is again one of the main counters to your composition, and the rest of the team has enough follow-up to take out DPS. That's like the two main things that are going to prevent your win condition. And your win condition here isn't win the fight, it's move the payload, because that's the thing that is the most challenging for Karasuno to prevent. If you kind of like try and like dislodge them from their positions, if you try and actually like kill them, your comp is not well suited to doing that. Your comp is really well suited to very high damage, very high sustain in a very localized area. And if you make that area the payload, you get the advantage.
Enable him.
Trace your mind, trace your mind, trace your mind. She's sad.
No,
Come on, mercy, 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 mercy.
Mercy, let's quit it. It's fine.
Fair weak, fair weak. I got her.
Mercy.
Just a dead.
Nice.
Holy shit, that was really good.
xQc.
Okay.
And did you do it with over 60 seconds?
Started getting the vibe here.
We clap heads.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think we ran through him on
150.
Really good
So
shot.
despite all those struggles, you still capped with 110 seconds.
Yeah, the comp works against everything. You just have to have the aggression.
Yes.
Like if you just keep taking fights on the payload, you're eventually gonna dwindle them down and win.
Yeah, and
That's
then
the way we looked at it.
Yeah, they just, sorry, xQc just moved to the payload, started moving it, slammed the two guys who could prevent you from moving it, and you just pushed her in. So 1 minute 50. Now you're playing. Worst case scenario, it's a draw. Best case scenario, you win.
You don't have to do the exact same thing in terms of going straight to point. We can still go top right, speed boost onto them on the high ground, force them down early. Down on
take.
point, the better.
Okay,
We
Just
have
don't
time-
get greedy.
Really
We know-
good team fights.
And you guys are playing in the pit today at 6 Eastern, right?
Oh yeah, we're
Alright.
we're gonna run the OG goats.
The OG go. So Gator is able to participate in that one, right? Because he's only
Yeah,
been, he's been
they're allowed to play in third-party tournaments, not
Yeah,
the
so-
ones that are run by Blizzard.
So Gator's banned from contenders for 1 season. It was reduced from 1 year
Yeah.
ban to 1 season ban.
Yeah, and then Scott. Oh man, unlucky dude.
Is Scott permit or what's up with Scott?
No, for the year,
He-
but it wasn't for boosting or anything. It was literally just because he was toxic. That's
A 1 year
That's-
contenders ban for being
for
toxic.
being toxic. Yeah, that's
How
so unfair.
toxic do you have to be?
Did you see the video?
Uh,
I'm pretty sure everyone saw the video.
pretty sure everyone saw the video.
Yeah.
So that's unfortunate. Do you know if Scott's gonna like just take his ban on the chin and keep going, or what are his plans?
Black Ops 4 is coming out, so
Oh, hopefully.
it's up to him.
Oh, interesting. So, and then do you think Gator, as soon as the contenders ban is over, he'll be back next year? Or
Oh, yeah,
not
he's
next season? He's coming back. So he's just kind of
Yeah, he's too good to not come back. It's one of
awesome.
those.
Do you think that the bad rep that you three have, Kaluj, yourself, Gator, and Scott, is going to prevent you guys from getting signed onto an academy team or an Overwatch League team?
I think it will, unfortunately. I mean, I'm trying to move on from the past, but if it's gonna be that bad and looked over by a lot of teams, then it's whatever, dude. It happens.
Well, do you think that if you win, like if you win contenders trials, which winning, it's going to be difficult now that you kind of lost to Karasuno, but it's still likely that you're qualified to contenders. Do you think that a first or second place in contenders would change people's minds, or do you think that no matter how good you are at Overwatch, that the kind of bad rep is going to persist to prevent any opportunities of making it all the way?
The rep's definitely gonna fuck it up because I'm not even getting looked at by people. Like I'm not getting messages to try out for teams or anything. So
do you think that that's your reputation is something that you can repair, or
I
it's
think
in
it is,
stone
but
now?
it's gonna take a little bit more time. Maybe like 5 more months, 4 more months. So
Cool. Well, best of luck in your redemption arc, I suppose.
We know we only need one take.
Perform.
Don't get greedy with it.
Stay together as a core. The number one thing that we need to keep in mind is the tanks are the ones that need to die because.
Do you have a
any
trials
switching
match
on their
today?
Team cannot contest our tank line.
Yeah,
On
we're
point.
streaming it, I think.
At what
So
time?
You just need to go down the high ground, force the tanks off of.
So you play trials and pit today.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of tournament games. Oof. And I assume trials is first.
Yeah, because Pit's at 6, right?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, then Trials is first. Well, I'm about to look at what time. We play Grizzlies today.
Oh, wow.
And then we play energy and pit.
Didn't Grizzlies lose to? Who did Grizzlies lose to?
They lost to, I think, LNL, right?
Yeah, they lost to Last Night Leftovers. To be fair, Last Night Leftovers now has legit RC and Brad Rajani coaching them. So, but still, it's kind of lol that Grizzlies lost to LNL. So, I think you guys should be able to beat Grizzlies.
Their power position and then storm them on to point, or force them
And
to
just play
weaken
shield.
LOS.
And when you play shield, then it's over.
If we go to point, right? The Widow's gonna grab.
Oh, they lost to Second Wind.
Oh, no way.
and then
What the
Juggernaut's gonna go onto their window.
Bro, my boy Wub.
Maybe just play point from there.
Is Wub on Second Wind?
You get
Yeah,
free.
dude, never sleep
So
on
we
Wub.
just need to
He's
establish the
nutty.
high ground control.
Oh my god.
Oh, boys, send it.
I was gonna say losing to LNL is, I guess I could understand that, but losing to Second Wind is kind of funny.
Yeah. I forgot they played him. That's funny.
That's fine. That's actually a really good.
If we lose, if we lose,
So what are they doing? Are they doing the same
yeah.
composition they did the first time against you? Doesn't
yeah.
look like they are doing the Orisa comp, or if they did, the Orisa's in a different location.
What we really should have did the whole time is we should have just went to that room to our left right now.
Right through
Walk
hotel.
through there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, and
been
then-
like the standard rollout for Tank Blitz.
Money mine, money mine.
So
I don't even know how we won this fight right here.
Flash that here. That.
Boostio's already on a flank. Of course he is. I love Boostio.
get this monkey, get this monkey.
Dude, I don't know how he does it. He's so good at like hiding, and he just comes out of nowhere in the perfect spot.
Healing. Point. Jump.
Well, we really don't get a perspective of this fight, do we? XQC just gets fucked immediately, and then you guys win.
Yeah, it was pretty much. I just chased the Mercy out of there because he didn't get orbed the whole time. So I literally poked him from like 2 miles away.
I'm very disappointed with how I played earlier, but I'm not gonna.
And then
I'm not
Sid
gonna
just
fucking
fragged.
like too much. It was dog.
I haven't been this excited about the tier 2 scene in ever. I think this. It's just.
Yeah, I
such
don't think anybody has.
I'm pretty
It's
sure a
literally
whole bunch
dead.
of people are like, "Who the fuck are these teams, and why is this actually so interesting to watch?" I think there's honestly like more. You know, some people might.
There's more
think it's-
personality.
There's
dude.
there is way more
That's
personality.
what it is. You
To,
need to have toxic people, dude. I swear to God, it makes it better.
you guys are doing
does not.
Overwatch a service by being the villains of Overwatch. What do you?
It makes it better.
Are you guys embracing that most people are like not most, but you know, quite a few people are calling you guys the villains of Overwatch?
Oh, dude, I love it.
You love it.
It's
You're gonna
perfect.
embrace that.
Perfect. Oh yeah.
Just
Dude,
the slightly reformed PMA villains, right?
Yeah, people don't understand that the most sweat comes out of people when they're actually like mad at someone else.
Yeah.
That's when the most sweat comes out.
Like
And that's what people in Overwatch League don't understand. You need to have a little bit of shit talk at least.
Yeah.
It can't be all
I think
good try, other team, you know, we'll get you next time. Like, no, that's just
I think a
That's not
nice amount of
competition.
banter is healthy. Like the
Yeah.
Fusion University versus the Goats match. That was as close
perfect.
to like a grudge match as we've seen
Yeah.
for a while. And like the chat was loving it. It was such a fun match to watch.